Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Dutchy Dogs.
And I'm Rusty Red, and today we're going to be going over some details on the Katori, its strengths and weaknesses, and a little bit of footage of gameplay after we go over the details on it. We're basically going to be comparing it against the other Tier 1, the American ship Erie. Pretty much what you've got in the Katori is you've got pretty much a slower tank. It can take quite a bit more damage than the Erie. It shoots faster, its range is further for its artillery, its dispersion rate for the rounds is a little bit more than the Erie, but personally I think it's the right amount of dispersion. It's not so close together, the rounds are not so close together that you have to be highly accurate, but they're not dispersed so far apart that it's ridiculous to try and shoot at a ship from a farther range. The high explosives are the ones that are going to do the more damage for you in the Katori versus armor-piercing rounds, and also as well as against the Erie. Erie tends to be a little bit better with its armor-piercing. Speed is a little bit slower, its turn rate is a little bit slower, and it can be spotted from further away. So pretty much this ship tends to be a little bit better as a support ship, more or less. Not way out of the battle, but you also don't want to be in a brawl match in the heart of the battle. Let other ships like the Erie do that are designed to kind of pop in and pop out a little faster. Basically, the reason why you don't want to get into a brawl match up close and personal is pretty much because of your rudder speed, or your turning speed, as well as your turret turning speed. If you get into a brawl match with something like the Erie, they're going to outmaneuver you all day long, and it doesn't matter how slow their rate of fire is. They can stay out of your gun, your turrets. They can pretty much just spin circles around you and shoot the crap out of you. So this ship generally does better staying back just a little bit, but not too much, and being more of a support to faster ships like the Erie. That's pretty much the up close and personal on the Katori.
Alright, thanks Rusty. Well, shall we get into some battles?
We shall.
Alright, this is a Tier 3 battle with one Tier 3 on each side and 3 Tier 2s on each side, and followed up by the rest of Tier 1s. The mission is team mission, capture the flag, only one base per each, and I am starting in the north and Rusty is starting in the south. Alright. As the battle gets underway, we are going to move towards the center to hopefully meet up with each other. Right now, with nobody in the north, we are going to make our way south, myself and this other Chester here, as we are the only two in the north and do not stand a very good chance by ourselves. Now, something to talk about that we tried to talk about last game, but the game was over before we could get to it. But that is our repair ability, or the R button. What this allows us to do is anytime we have a fire, flooding, or a damaged weapon, it allows us to instantly repair. It does have a cooldown, though, that is sometimes up to a minute or so long. So, use it sparingly and wisely. Alright, first target up for us is this Erie. We're going to go ahead and try to lead the target and send shots out. Alright, so we had the right range, but fell short of them. So that's what we're talking about dispersion, is how much those rounds move getting close to the target. Now I'm receiving fire, so I'm going to take evasive action. So I'm moving port and starboard to try to throw off their aim. This is what we're talking about with the Erie having better maneuverability. She can stay outside of gunfire way easier than we can.
Oh, Dutchy Dogs, did you talk very much about where you want to aim at the ship?
We haven't talked much about that. So one of the holy grails of World of Warships is obtaining Citadel hits. Citadel hits do massive damage to an enemy ship, but are fairly hard to hit because Citadel hits end up being things like hitting their engines or knocking out a magazine. To find these, you have to fire under gun mounts in the midships, and your round has to penetrate, normally along the waterline. Alright, so we're meeting up, and let's designate this Katori right here, and we'll see if we can work on that. So what I'm aiming for is I'm trying to go for his either guns or his engines. So right there, I just knocked out his steering. Now with these ships lined up ahead of us here, I'm switching to armor piercing to hopefully pierce deep inside their ship, getting Citadel hits. Now, they've changed the armor as of last patch so that it works a little bit more like World of Tanks, where you have to angle your armor to get bounces. You have to basically be your armor's bounce for it. It no longer naturally does it. So right now, I'm going to try to get under one of these gun mounts and damage it, but does not seem to be penetrating very easily. Alright, switching to the almost dead target. Once again, just like in World of Tanks, you want to get rid of ships as quickly as possible. Get those guns off of the battlefield. Now, Red was talking about this earlier, and we were talking about the guns unable to keep up with the turn rate. As you can see there, as I do a lot of turning, my guns are not able to keep up with my turning. And so I have a lot of time where I cannot fire on a ship because of a turn. Alright, almost dead Erie coming up. Oh, Rusty, why didn't you tell us that you already killed 2 people?
Sorry, I didn't want to brag.
Oh, okay. How humble of you.
I got wrong messages without realizing it, and I'm going to go out because of it.
You can do it.
Well, if my team keeps me at bay, yeah. But he knows I'm almost dead, so he's going to try and pummel me.
Destroyed an enemy cruiser.
Ice hasn't shot me again. He's got to know that I've only got like 1 hit left.
Well, 1, he's a computer. 2, that Chester's closer.
True. I keep forgetting that it's computers.
Forget the easy kill.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for getting away for me.
So, one of the biggest things about these co-op battles, down in these low tiers, it gets you used to leading your targets. Normally I'm used to a lot slower rounds dealing with higher tier battleships. So you can see I'm overleading my targets. But, you know, use these co-op battles to hone your skills, to get used to the round drop, to what different ships are going to do. Alright, so... Yeah. Yeah.
They're very predictable and they're easy to practice shooting where you know they're going to be at.
Yep. Alright, so let's get straight away into another battle. Alright, this battle consists of 3 tier 3s on each, 4 tier 3s on each side, 1 tier 2 on each side, and 3 tier 1s. The mission is a points capture, so there'll be 3 bases that we need to capture. Alright, as the battle starts in, we are once again going to head up and meet up with each other. Now, after our last game of switching between armor piercing and high explosives, I found that definitely the armor piercing does not do good with this ship. The many times I used armor piercing, it just did not seem to be effective enough compared to the high explosive. So at this point, I would definitely recommend staying with high explosive with this ship.
Well, and if you look at the numbers too, the high explosive damage is 2,900 versus the armor piercing is only 2,700. So it does do not a ton, but it actually is surprising how much of a difference it does make. Just that little bit.
Exactly, and unless you get, unless you're spot on and getting citadel penetrations with your armor piercing, then you're almost wasting your time with that armor piercing.
And the high explosives, I know they sound kind of cheesy, but they actually do quite a bit, because you can set components on fire, and you can actually damage guns a lot, like the enemy's gun systems and turret systems a lot easier with high explosives versus the armor piercing. You'll notice that you'll hit the ship, and all of a sudden there's this armament that's now down, and it's like, wow, I didn't even think I hit that close to it. Well, you didn't exactly hit that close to it, but the explosion did it all for you. And that can actually really help your team out a lot, because now there's one less gun able to shoot from that ship.
Fire on the designated target.
So, me and Rusty are going to concentrate fire on this destroyer and hopefully knock him down.
And he's going fairly slow, by the way. He's actually hardly moving.
I think his engines are out.
Oh.
The time I would love the Erie's gun dispersion. Alright, so go ahead and slide right, and we'll come in together, and then try to head off this cruiser here.
The other Katori, you mean?
Yeah. So let's go to the north of this island in front of us here.
Oh, nice. Like, once again, my high explosives just took out a turret on a battleship across the way there. Or I think it was a turret. Took out something, that's all I noticed.
Hey, something always is nice.
Something can do a lot. Oh! The amount of damage he just took from my gun was huge.
Are you sure it wasn't a torpedo?
One there, but
yeah, the destroyer fired torpedoes. All right, let's focus down on the South Carolina.
Fire on the target.
Once again, damaged the turret. Geez, I thought I hit the other guy and took him way down. Must be the torpedo time just right with my rounds.
I think so. Alright, so we set him on fire. Now, the great thing about this is, unless he uses his repair ability, he's going to keep burning. And we can continue to set him on fire, forcing him to burn down. Alright, let's keep steaming straight and see if we can't focus down that South Carolina. Because I think that Kawachi's going to take some torpedoes.
Yeah, right there I had to use my repair. He set me on fire. He's using high explosives as well. So that's one way you can also know what rounds your enemy is using, is if they catch you on fire, you know that they're using high explosive. Which for him is kind of a mistake, because his armor piercing could just punch right through me and just screw me up.
And we set him on fire. Now, once again, like I was talking about the repair ability, most likely his repair ability is already being used, so he is just going to keep burning down.
Watch out for the island coming up.
Yep.
I'm going to start popping around this island and going back in after him a little bit.
Yep.
We burned him down quite a bit, quite literally.
Yes. And that destroyer, I think, took out the other Kawachi.
Going for the kill on this guy, too. Still burning.
Yes, got him.
Nice. You can tell when they're still burning is when you see that nobody's shooting at them and you can see their health slowly going down. You know that they're still on fire. So he probably had already used his repair ability on one of the earlier fires that we put on him.
Yes. Yep. Now right here is where the Kawachi's low speed comes in to haunt it. All the enemies are at the other side of the map, and with our top speed of 18 knots, it's going to take a long time to get over there. So what we're going to do is swing around this island and head in and start capturing on B to, I guess you can say, farm loser points.
Also, too, with your speed, something to keep in mind is if you're trying to go as fast as possible, do the least amount of maneuvering possible. Each time that you start into a turn, even if it's just to turn a little bit, your speed is going to drop.
Yeah.
So the harder you turn, the slower your ship is going to go. So if you're wanting to get to the other side of the map quick, you're better off just get your ship aimed where you want to go and let it just pick right up to full speed and go.
Now also remember this, if you have to stop quickly, let's say there's torpedoes inbound or something like that, you can use that turn ability to really slow your ship down.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
I think our battleship's going for a ram kill.
That's what it looks like.
Yep, there he
Yeah,
is.
he did. Sure enough. Nice kill, Dutchy.
Thank you.
So that is one of the nice things about high explosive rounds as well, especially if you're a ship like the Katori, where you really don't want to stay in the line of sight too much because you are so slow. You can just use your high explosive rounds to set them on fire, and if they don't repair it quick enough, it'll start doing a lot of damage while you're going behind an island, which is exactly what just happened with us. Rather than us sitting there taking full-on shots from a battleship, which could easily put us out.
Well, take a look at this in the damage report. Damage caused from HE shell hits. I caused 8,099 damage, and that's hitting 19 times. But for the fires that I set, I only set 2 fires, and that did 8,800 damage. So I did more damage burning a ship than I did actually shooting a ship. So keep that in mind. If your guns are fast firing and small caliber, think about using high explosive and burn ships down.
Alright, so to kind of recap on the Katori, in both of the battles we got to see a little bit of the 2 different types of play that you can do with the Katori. One not so good, and one is, of course, what you want to do. The second battle, Dutchie and I kind of stayed back a little bit, but we weren't way out of the battle. We were still fairly close to the other ships, and we stayed alive for throughout the whole battle, but we really didn't take very much damage at all compared to how much damage we did. Dutchie even got a kill, and we burned several ships down pretty fast. We definitely saw the strength to having the heavy explosive rounds going. As in the second battle, you got to see how much we burned a battleship right down to nothing, and actually Dutchie only got the kill because the ship burned up. And then the first battle, you got to see the reason why you don't want to get into a brawl with another ship. I ended up in a complete brawl between me and a battleship. I don't know why I didn't get killed. I was down to 1 hit left. The only thing I can think of is that it's a computer opponent, and the computer told him to disengage for whatever reason. If that had been another human player, I would have gotten just wasted right away. But for some reason, it disengaged off of me and turned and started shooting at one of my teammates. And I think it was another cruiser that popped in between me and the other ship. I don't know if that was intentional, but he totally pulled the computer player off of me and onto him, which was good because he still had full health and I had 1 hit left. So really, I should have gotten wasted so quick in that battle. It was just luck that I stayed alive. But that's why you don't want to get into it with them, is I really wasn't doing enough damage for the fact that my armor piercing really aren't good enough for me to have used anyway. Because I was using the high explosives, I should have been staying back a lot further. So there's kind of the strengths and disadvantages to the Katori. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great night, guys.